step outside the norm. Too often, sim racing remains grounded in its motorsports roots. But when one dares to embrace the blank canvas that is esports, chaos will erupt. Today, we turn sim racers into gladiators and throw them into a Royal Rumble to become the last driver standing. On one side stands the Next Level Racing community, who through the first half of 2022 have gone undefeated across a gauntlet of challengers. Looking to topple the champions stands the Charlotte Phoenix Esports team, one of the newest teams in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, but one that has established themselves as one to watch. It's time for the Next Level Racing versus Charlotte Phoenix Eliminator Cup. Welcome to RaceSpot TV, where my name is Arjuna Kankipati, alongside with Joey Tebben, Hugo Luis behind the scene controlling all of the action. And Joey, you've been posting on social media about how excited you are about this. It's something we can only do in the virtual world. We're doing Eliminator, we're doing a race where it is last man standing.
And sometimes we take iRacing a little bit too seriously, so when we have a fun event like this, it's still going to be taken seriously. We've got some of the very best in sim racing. The top of the timesheets is dominated by iRacing's pro drivers, the best in the business. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be eliminating drivers every lap, and it's going to be like nothing you've ever seen before on iRacing.
It's going to be crazy, and the layout and the track and the car that we've got is going to make for a very interesting combo. But let's first talk about the prizes up for grabs, and then we'll talk about the format for today's race. Of course, our overall winner will walk away with the Next Level Racing Elite Gaming Chair, courtesy of our friends at Next Level Racing. And then the community drivers, those representing the Next Level Racing team, can win iRacing credits. The top 3 drivers in the community walking away with a combined $225 in iRacing credits. And then that format, we'll have one lap for drivers to get the feel of the street stock around this Oran Park South layout, and the last 2 drivers every lap after that are eliminated until there stands one, the winner. So 50 drivers will enter. 26 laps later, Joey, one emerges the champion.
And only one can survive. How do you run this race? Do you run as a survivor or do you run as a winner? I imagine there's going to be 2 races going on here. Some of those drivers down at the back of the field, the less experienced drivers, they're going to be racing to survive. But up at the top, we've got a race for the win, and it's going to be 2 exciting races for the price of 1.
And we'll try and focus on the battle for the lead and the battle to stay in the race as we work the way through the 26 laps. Let's talk about who's going racing. We've talked about the Charlotte Phoenix and their rise so far in 2022, one of our newest teams at the top echelons of sim racing. A couple of their World Championship competitors will take to the field, but also drivers with real and virtual experience to talk about. Joey, who stands out to you as we look at the first 14 names up on your screen?
Well, the first 14 names here, ones that'll stand out for iRacing fans across the United States and across the world. David Schildhaus, of course, big-time streamer, YouTuber, creator of all sorts of things, and he's found himself a nice new position at Alpha Prime Racing, so I'm sure David Schildhaus will be looking for a solid result here. Caleb Whittington, coming out of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. He's the first one on our list here. Jeff Newton, lots of experience. Jack Mace, tons of iRacing experience. He was born in 2007, by the way, so take that into consideration if everybody in the audience wants to feel old here. Jonas Gunnarsson from Sweden, talk about an international field we have going here. And Joey Padgett, he releases rap music on Spotify in addition to racing legends and bandoleros in real life. So I could go on about every single one of these drivers. It is a very diverse group of skill levels, occupations, nationalities, and anything else you could want.
I tell you, Joey better be careful, because our resident rap lord in the booth is ready to spit some bars if Joey is eliminated as the first driver. You'll have to wait and see what RaceSpot's rap album has got in store for you. Here's a look, though, at the rest of the names. 11 more drivers getting ready to rep the blue for Charlotte Phoenix. Of course, Ryan Vargas, a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver that has become very involved in the world of sim racing. Colin Keister, one of our 2 eNASCAR representatives, along with Graham Boland for the Charlotte Phoenix. Got the likes of Reed Wilson, a former NASCAR Truck Series driver, and Ford Martin, the man behind Monday Night Racing. So should be an interesting field, and for the first time, not just a handful of competing team drivers because of this format where it's half on half, this eliminator. We had a good field of the Charlotte Phoenix. Let's talk about our community, though. Those that some we have seen before, some fighting for the very first time. The likes of Josh Anderson looking to win after coming so close at the mountain in a Mazda Miata. The likes of Liam Brotherton, Garrett Maines will be ones to watch as well with their eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing experience. We know Blake Reynolds likes a bit of chaos, likes a little bit of drama as well. When we look, though, at the second page of drivers, Joey, it is a big field, and a lot of these drivers are looking to survive the chaos.
And Nicholas Rubelar, right there at the top of this page, 15th on the list. He won last time we ran one of these events at Bathurst in the MX-5s, or actually that was a few events ago, but either way, he won there, and he's at the top of the timesheets again here. So a driver who knows how to drive a car around a road course, even in a car like a street stock that isn't built for road course racing, even at a track like Oran Park South that we don't normally go to, the fastest drivers on iRacing still find their way onto the top, and Nicholas Rubelar, he's going to be a tough one to beat.
It was Rubelar Anderson 1 and 2 at Bathurst, split by under 2/10ths of a second. In practice right now, they are split by 100th of a second. If we're expecting chaos, if we're expecting fireworks, it's not just at the back, it will be at the front as well. Anderson has just gone faster in practice. Those two will be the class of the field. Here's the look, though, at Oran Park, of course, immortalized in iRacing, because unfortunately, about 12 years ago, this track no longer was running. It became used for housing, and now it lives on in the memories and in the world of sim racing, where drivers can revisit and remember the legacy that Oran Park leaves behind. But we're not running the full layout. We hug a left as you run yourself down into what traditionally would be turn number 1. It very much feels like a bull ring, Joey.
It is a road course bull ring in the best sense of the term, and that's actually kind of helpful for some of the drivers in this field. When we do run street stocks on road courses on iRacing in the official series, and the very rare occasions that happens, it tends to be on bull rings like this. So if these drivers have done any practice whatsoever in the previous weeks, they've run at tracks like this, and there's only a few corners. So for some of our drivers with, let's say less experience than some of the others, they've got less corners to learn, they've got less pieces of grass to hit, and they've got less places to fall out of the order. So it's a simple track, but it's deceptively simple because it punishes mistakes like almost no other.
Charlotte Phoenix, an esports organization founded, of course, in Charlotte, North Carolina back in 2019. Their home, of course, America's home for racing. This year, they stamped their way into sim racing, and along the way, as we've ridden our way through the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, the Charlotte Phoenix have been delighted to host a couple of events at the Carolina Esports Hub, and today is no different. Some of our drivers, some of the representatives of the Charlotte Phoenix are racing from within the Carolina Esports Hub. There's the look at those drivers set up in the rigs with the 49-inch ultra-wide monitors wrapped around them. It looks like a party. We even saw a dog there that stole all of our attention.
We did see a dog in the pre-race, and I hope that dog comes back. I hope he's not being holed up in a back room. You see an unsponsored beverage there at the bottom of the stage, and here we see sort of the back room of sorts. One of our drivers take a little bit of a break. He doesn't want to be on camera, but we're going to be riding on board, or at least watching the faces of all sorts of our Charlotte Phoenix Esports squads, and also riding on board with them while we're still at it.
It was a really interesting event at the first couple of weeks in May when they held the eNASCAR Pro Battle. It was the Charlotte Phoenix drivers, Graham Bolin and Colin Keister, as well as Junior Motorsports eNASCAR drivers, Brian LaPrade and Michael Conti, racing from the facility at the virtual Kansas Speedway. It was a great sight to see that level of excitement. I haven't been to a LAN event for sim racing myself, of course, because I got into this commentary business in the last 2 years when going and racing in person has not been a thing. But I can only imagine the kind of energy that exudes in that sort of an environment when you're fighting for so much and when those around you are ready to support you and cheer you on.
Well, Arjuna, you've chosen the wrong person to be in the booth with you, because I am also a relatively new addition to sim racing. It's also only been about 2 years for me, but I completely agree. I can only imagine what it's like to be in one of those LAN events for iRacing or for any esport. I've watched so many of them. You can really tell the atmosphere that you create. It's virtual motorsports, it's virtual sports, it's esports, but it's also real. There's real humans, there's real people, there's real relationships, and there's real emotions all throughout it. So I always love when we get a bunch of esports athletes, iRacing drivers, whoever, through in a single room here. It's just a whole nother level of the competition that we don't normally see.
And talking of those in-person pressure cooker events, Nicholas Rubelar, top 10 competitor on a certain title available on the PlayStation consoles, featured in the latest iteration through through their career mode as well, has been successful in those sort of events. We'll see him fight, of course, with Josh Anderson, a iRacing World Championship competitor across multiple championship level series. So practice will draw to a close. Drivers have had about 27 minutes so far to build up some confidence and, I guess, figure out where they stand in the pecking order. Once this is over, we'll head into an open qualifying session. That means that with 10 minutes on the board, drivers get just 4 laps to go as fast as they can, and they've got to be careful. Zach Christie, one of our Next Level Racing staff members, got all sorts of out of shape. These cars are, I think it's fair to say, Joey, tanks. 3,500 pounds, just under 400 horsepower, rear-wheel drive only. They're not the easiest to manhandle around a road course.
Yeah, some call them tanks, some call them boats. I might as well call them an aircraft carrier because this thing is not matched up for the road course. You can see Zach Christie just overcooking turn 1 just a little bit, and that's the hardest part here. These brakes, they're barely even brakes. They were not designed for this kind of racing. They are not designed to be able to brake in the way you normally want to on a road course. And he's drifting those tires as well up the hill there. This thing is not designed for road course racing, but when you have that road course experience that the likes of Josh Anderson and Rubelar and everybody at the top of the timesheets have, that's extremely valuable, because if you know how to drive a road course in one car, that's far easier to apply to any other car, even a boat slash tank slash aircraft carrier like this one.
So as it stands right now in terms of the battle, Next Level Racing versus the Charlotte Phoenix, only 3 of the Phoenix drivers sit inside of the top 10, with Graham Boland in front of James Bickford. Right behind them, Aaron Smith in his bright yellow number 70. This practice session is all going to be just about that confidence and finding the lines. Incident limit, not necessarily something we're going to be talking about too much, but we'll see how much risk these drivers are willing to take. For those of you that have been watching what potentially is the most entertaining series across the sim racing world, we have some drivers from our iRacing Off-Road Championship Series and the All-Star Invitationals. Great to see Aero HD, Keenan Kusin in the field, along with the last race winner, Wes Gray and Wes the Mess 88. We've also got Josh Edmondson, who finished on the podium, I think 7 times in that championship. Looking forward to seeing how they'll work their way through this one. There is a significant gulf, it's fair to say, when lap times are just 45-odd seconds between Josh Anderson and Graham Boland. Yes, 2/10 is not a big gap, Joey, but 2/10 here feels like an age. 2/10
does feel like an age here, and it's a short road course. We've mentioned it already. There are so few turns. If I count them on one hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 if you're disagreeing with me, if you count one corner as 2, or however they do it on the NASCAR side. But either way, there's very few corners here. There's very few places to lose time, and that means that there's very few places to gain time as well. So in open qualifying, when you're going to be in traffic in 8 seconds time, it's going to be very, very difficult to get every single tenth out of these cars.
Yeah, let's not get me started on corner numbers across the world. It seemed like a bit of a pile up at the rear end of the facility as practice drew to a close. Maybe drivers finishing off with some exuberance. So Anderson, Rubelar, Boland, Reynolds, Bickford, the top 5 in practice, but now it's go fast time. Qualifying gets underway. The 10 minutes go up on the clock, and the drivers will roll out onto track and ready to go. There were some of those shenanigans. We're here for some fun, but we know when we've got some of these drivers, their level of competitiveness, they are going to be pushing all the way.
The clock has just ticked over to start qualifying, so here we go, the number 2 from the Next Level Racing squad, and it is all alone on the track here. Liam Brotherton, no competition out on track. It's open qualifying technically, but it's also closed qualifying. You get 4 laps in 10 minutes, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any traffic here for the next 9 minutes, so just get your best lap in. Basically run practice again without all the other cars on track. It looks like Liam Brotherton's actually going to set up the final corner, get as much speed as possible onto the front straight. That's smart, but these next 4 laps, he's going to be on the clock. These better be quick ones, Liam.
Remember, Liam Brotherton missed out on the win in our Elliott Sadler Esports versus the Next Level Racing community race. The 80s throwback, 8,000 split him from Michael P. Frisch. He'll overcommit in turn 1. That also will invalidate the lap time as he runs a bit wide, puts some wheels off the track. That's an automatic iRacing incident control system that will be judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to the incident limits, but manually we'll be doing the disqualification. We haven't talked about how there's points to be paid out as well, Joey, so let's very quickly touch on that before we dive deep into this qualifying session. The points are scored almost in reverse order, so we were thinking a maximum theoretical driver count of 50. P1 walks away with 50 points, P2 49, and etc, etc, etc. We total up what the team points have, and at the end of the race, when yes, one driver is left standing and the driver wins the race, a team will be crowned the champions.
Yeah, so we talked about how there's 2 races going on here. There's technically 3 races going on here because it is a points race. Of course, the victor, the overall winner, that's gonna be a very good prize for whoever driver wins that, and we have all the prizes for the top 3 as well. But that points championship, so to speak, a points championship in a single race. It's not just about the win for either of these teams. It's about keeping as many of their drivers in the competition as possible to accrue as many points as possible. If you win, you get 50. If you finish second, you get 49, all the way down, one down, one down, one down, until we get to the last driver in the field. So if, let's say, Next Level Racing gets about 10 drivers eliminated in the first 10, that's going to be disastrous for them. So you're going to have to work to even out your drivers, I think. Hope that you have a diverse set of drivers if you can't be all at the top, and hope that you don't eliminate all your drivers originally and accrue single digits of points for the first few eliminations.
Let's ride around with Nicholas Rubelar and see just how clean and tidy he's going to be. Even with the rear end stepping out on the exit of turn 1, just looks so smooth, slides the car through the chicanes that builds you in towards turn 4. Cambers in towards the apex of the corner, but cambers off as you get onto the power and roll into that final chicane. Plenty of trouble spots if you come across traffic, which we do expect through the course of this race. Hard onto the brakes for the final time. Rubelar's always looking so tidy. Trying to minimize the wheel spin as you'll power out with the benchmark already being set at a 44.996. We'll try and improve. It's a 45.015. That is the level of consistency that only the best will reach for. As it stands right now, it's not Anderson in second place, it's Blake Reynolds that jumps that 66 car to the outside of the front row.
What's going to be very disappointing for Blake Reynolds is the fact that Rubelar didn't improve on that second lap, but his second lap was still faster than Blake Reynolds. So even when Nick isn't running pole speed, he's still running faster than the rest of the field. But here's Scott Hollingsworth, not Jeff Hollingsworth. That's a different night here on Race Spot TV. But Scott Hollingsworth going up through the O'Brien's aluminium dogleg. I will say aluminium instead of aluminum because we're in Australia technically. And then the final corner here, I'd say the most difficult corner on the track just because of the elevation change. It's so easy to lock up that inside left tire coming up the hill. But let's see what Hollingsworth has to offer. I think he might have had a mistake on this lap because a 1:01, that's not going to be a real lap time. He's going to go around again.
Anderson has jumped to the top. It's half a tenth quicker basically than Rubelar, but responding in the closing stages, Rubelar out of lap times. It will be Anderson that grabs provisional pole. What a lap time it was, a 44.953. We watch Aaron Smith, currently the second best of the Charlotte Phoenix drivers, as he works his way towards the end of the lap with his best of a 45.277. That won't be an improvement. Yes, it's a nice show to drift the rear end of that car. It's not the quickest way around the corner.
And that yellow 70, so familiar on Aaron Smith's car. But here's Daniel Salo through the final quarter, much more tidy than Aaron Smith was. 45.9, about a second off pole on his first lap, and unfortunately he runs exactly the same time again. I just noticed up ahead, I think Nicholas Rubelar, he's either completed all 4 of his laps or he's decided to come down pit road to do a second run on fresher tires. So if he's decided to do that, I think that's a great strategy move. I think some of the others might want to take that into consideration. But I don't think David Schildhouse is. He's not even taking consideration for the outside wall. He's just going full attack, and that's a great lap. P10.
Well, and to your point, Josh Anderson did one flying lap, reset, got a fresh set of tires, went out again, and went faster. So unlike what Nicholas Rubelar did, where he did a 4-lap qualifying run in effect, Anderson went with 2 flying laps. Will give him the points of the field to start the race. Will he lead into turn 1? That's the question that will get answered in just about 5 minutes time, with already 39 lap times on the board. Just 3 drivers yet to punch the one in. Jordan Laughlin, Toby Wilson, and Altus Esports is the 42 of Cody Deeth, who fought with the likes of those at the front, Rubelar and Anderson, at that race that we keep referring to, the Mazda mountain battle. Say that 5 times fast. It gets you all sorts of twisted. You're not going to win this race if you start at the very tail end of the field.
You're not going to win this race if you start at the very tail end of the field, and that sounds kind of obvious, but we also have another thing to take into consideration here, because if you're at the tail end of the field, you're literally not going to be racing for very long. You're going to be booted out. You're going to be eliminated. So you both have to be fast. You have to be up at the front. You've also got to avoid making any sorts of mistakes here in the race, because throwing it off the road, there's a lot of grass runoff at Oran Park. It sucks you in. You go very, very far up the track. It's hard to recover. So one mistake could be disastrous, especially on the opening laps when it's so easy to lose about 40 positions in the space of one corner.
It's an old school track in that way. It's unforgiving, unrelenting. David Duong will step the rear end out as he comes through turn 4, the final turn, excuse me. Joey, you've mentioned that that's the trickiest corner on the track, but I wonder how it's going to change as the tires start to heat up. We're putting so much load through the rear end of these cars, even with just 375 horsepower. We're at a track temperature of 47 degrees Celsius.
And it is a very hot track, understandably. We're in Australia. It is actually winter in Australia right now in real life, but still very, very warm. And tires that are not designed for racing like this. They're not designed to be hustled around a track like this. That last corner is really where we've seen the extent of the uncomfortability of these cars. The tires want to slide out. They want to lock up on entry and they want to slide on exit. And that's what makes these things so difficult to drive. Here in turn 1, it's almost even more difficult because you want to be turning and braking at the same time, but as usual, in cars like this, that's not very good for you. You're going to lock up the inside left, and you're going to send it off into that very attractive patch of grass right ahead where turn 1 normally is.
I think surviving the start is going to be crucial for those behind, because let's say you're starting 20th, you're not expecting to necessarily win the race as a driver. You're just trying to maybe contribute to what your team is going to do and maybe try and win those prizes for the next level racing community drivers.
And that's what's important. We have a lot of drivers here who don't have much iRacing experience. They're just competing for their teams. They want to do the best they can. Not everybody can win the race. Not everybody's a pro. Not everybody's going to be in the top 10. But if you can, say, finish 27th for your team instead of 31st, that's 4 extra points. That could be the difference. There's so many mathematical considerations we have to make here. Every position truly does matter.
So the top 4 are back to Graham Boland, the first of the Charlotte Phoenix drivers, split by 0.2 of a second, basically. Yes, half a second splits the top 7. It's not a draft-heavy track, so you would expect that if you're half a second off the pace, you will lose contention from those in front. So with that said, I think it's likely that the winner comes within the first 5 starters. Who's going to be the one to throw the RKO out of nowhere? Who comes out on top in the closing stages here, Joey?
I refuse to answer that question because I refuse to curse any of the top 7 drivers. I'm gonna let them figure it out for themselves. But something I also haven't taken into consideration is that we're gonna have a lot of lap traffic here. There are quite a few cars on a very short road course here. 42 drivers in the field, at least here in qualifying. You're gonna be reaching lap traffic instantly. So while you might be the fastest driver on track, if a rogue lapped car, maybe you reach them in the wrong place, you reach them through the dog leg up the hill, you get thrown into the wall, it's not just a race for the win, it's a race of survival, especially through lap traffic.
That was a replay of the pole position lap that Vendaval Sim Racing's Joshua Anderson punched in to put him to pole position in this, the Next Level Racing versus Charlotte Phoenix Eliminator race. He'll lead us to the green alongside Nicholas Rubelar, the 2 that tangoed on the mountain just a couple of months ago. We'll do it again. Blake Reynolds, Graham Boland, 2 eNASCAR drivers right behind them. Aaron Smith and Liam Brotherton make up row 3 on the grid. Rolling from 7th will be Alex Gardiner. Joey Paget, not going to be worried about the Rap Lord in this commentary booth. He'll be starting on the outside of row number 4. James Bickford and David Shieldhouse line up on the edge of the top 10 with Reed Wilson and Keenan Kusin, Mr. Aero HD behind them. Zach Christie and Jonas Gunnarsson, 13th and 14th. Daniel H. and Josh Edmondson roll from row number 8 with Daniel Solo and Matthew Feldman Right behind them, completing the top 20, it's Ryan Vargas in the number 23, Jeff Newton to his right side. David Dwong and Wes Graham, 21st and 22nd. Graham has shown that he can survive chaos in the All-Star Invitational. What can he do here today with Charlie Thompson and Adam Briggs in the 777 behind them? Seb Kowalski, Joey Sainz, 25th and 26th, with Trevor Teal, not Pickle Teal today, starting inside of CJ Collins, Sean Crowley, and Zach Knowles in the 099 through the top 30. Jesse Hillary and Nick Olson will line up in 31st and 32nd, with 2 seconds splitting those top 30 drivers. Colton Easterday, Josh Stoltz, 33rd and 34th, while from 35th we'll see Scott Hollingsworth, the COO of the California Esports sub. Got myself a little bit confused there, and we'll show you the rest of those 39 cars, and you see the delta. 5.5 seconds splits 1 from 39. Joey, you were talking about traffic chaos. We're about to see exactly how terrifying it will be for those at the front and for those at the rear.
And we'll have 1 lap here of no elimination. It'll be a 1-lap grace period. Everybody will find their footing. Everybody will find their way around the track 1 time. And then after that, the hammer comes down. 2 drivers are getting eliminated at the end of lap 2. Also, 3 more drivers I just want to mention. Cody Deeth, Toby Wilson, and Jordan Laughlin. They didn't qualify, but they will be starting at the tail of the field. So 42 drivers here tonight at Oran Park South. And it's time to get going.
I get the privilege of not just being the shouty man for today's race. I get to be the executioner as well, booting people out of this race. I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know Joey has as well. The community has been waiting. It is been a year for Next Level Racing, besting some of the biggest teams in the sim racing world. Today, they are up against the might of the Charlotte Phoenix in a Royal Rumble at Oran Park. We get underway. It's a great start. The 35, Graham Bolam makes it 3 wide on the run into turn 1. 4 wide, they'll go, all looking for some room. It's Blake Reynolds on the inside trying to work his way to the front of the field. Anderson will lead there. Reynolds behind him. Boland goes then. Rubelar's been bundled down to 6. The chaos emerges through turn 1. They're side by side into sector number 2.
It's very, very difficult to go side by side up the hill there through Momo Corner here, continuing up the hill side by side between the 6 and the 10. Next Level Racing, teammates of sorts here. They don't want to take each other out, but we've got quite a kerfluffle back here, and the 10 gets turned around. That's going to be heavy damage into the wall for Alex Gardner, and we've got huge trouble here on lap 1.
Yeah, this is maybe, well, that's a rejoin that Connery Maddock would want to watch, but it's a parking lot through the final quarter. It's going to be quite tricky to figure out who is last, because there are so many cars that are in danger of going 1 lap down. They still have not sorted it out through the final corner, as Joshua Anderson is already building to break into that final complex of corners. Your leader's coming to finish lap number 2. Some drivers still not finished lap number 1.
Leora Mullins, I think, is the last car on the track right now, but I am dumbfounded. I'm trying to determine who's still on track, who's too heavily damaged. Has anybody taken a tow back? I don't think they have. Even Alex Gardner. Yes, Alex Gardner, who is heavily damaged. He's taken a tow back to the pits. So I think at the end of lap 2, he's going to be the first elimination, potentially. But I don't know. There's so much going on. I think Nicholas Rubelar's lost even more spots. He's going to fall down to 12th. Everything's changing, and we've still got 23 more laps to go.
Yeah, this is quite a lot crazier than I think we anticipated. 41 took to the grid in a facility that's only 1 mile long. I think we got what we expected for. I think it's going to be Hollingsworth and Gardner, those first 2 going to be disqualified. They're fighting at the front, though, as the 00 tries to work his way forward. It is stretching out, though, those top 2 starting to go forward. Cars missing the chicane, the 00 off and into the grass.
And this is the first lapped car we're seeing here. Josh Anderson lapping the number 21 of Jordan Laughlin. So it took us all of 3 laps to find lap traffic. Jordan Laughlin's going to be swallowed by a very, very hungry pack of sharks here. He's going to be very kind. He's going to get out of the way, stay all the way to the right for the most part, let some of his Charlotte Esports teammates through, and Graham Boland's off. He almost did that on lap 1, and he's finally overcooked it.
Yeah, they've got to be careful as they carve through the traffic. This is where the experience for Anderson in endurance racing might pay dividends. You can see in the top right the team standings as we battle Next Level Racing with a commanding lead as it runs right now.
Aaron Smith here, battle for second. That bright yellow 70, so familiar. We got more lap traffic, and it's all next level racing lap traffic. There's a whole sea of them. They let their two teammates of Anderson and Brotherton through. Are they going to be a little bit more troublesome? Aaron Smith, whose a rival, it doesn't look like it. He's going to make it through fairly cleanly. The 83 of Joey Padgett. He started 10th. He's up 5 spots already.
There have been some big movers on board with Padgett inside that Carolina Esports hub. Again, working at the wheel as they try and make sure they don't step the rear end out on these cars. Can be so easy to do. This really has been one of the most chaotic races that I've commentated on, and I've covered both the iRacing Rallycross World Championship and the Jumpy Trucks World Championship. This is insane.
Jesse Hillary in that 38 is the next driver to go a lap down, really holding up the inverse number. Joey Padgett there. You can see the difference through the final corner of some of the drivers fighting here for the lead. I think that actually is the 38. He's getting out of the way, but there's more contact with another lapped car. Tyler Ruelas gets heavily contacted through the final corner, and Liam Brotherton's around as well.
Edmondson's gone off into the grass as well. That's where he's maybe a little bit more used to being. He'll drop to 13th. Bolin gets in front of Padgett as they work into turn 1 yet again through the 10 car. So the traffic plays its factor. Josh Anderson is running away. Now 2 seconds clear as Aaron Smith looks to try and challenge the Vendaval Sim Racing driver.
Anderson might be running away, but this race has proven to be extremely unpredictable, completely unpredictable in the lap traffic. Look at what is going on here. David Schildhaus in the battle with Seb Kowalski. Kowalski's off the road. This isn't a rallycross course, and he rejoins, but Schildhaus is going to be through. It's looking very, very good for Next Level Racing so far. In the top 12, they've got the advantage with 7, but it's somewhat even. It's 7 versus 5 in terms of the top 12. But in terms of eliminations, it's also dead even. So this is very interesting. I hope we get the points graphic up here soon, because it's going to be very, very close at this early stage.
And they are dropping one by one. We're not necessarily talking about those drivers as they disappear, but we are down now to just 34 left on the track as we one by one are getting rid of them. The 9 runs off the track. Feldman gets back on to the asphalt. One more car running wide. They're really pushing the limit. This is a car that encourages you to test the limit. It's a introductory car to racing. We are seeing plenty of mistakes.
It's an introductory car to racing, though, on the oval side, which makes this so much more difficult. You would think it would be simple, but it is certainly not. And there's Graham Bolin again in more trouble through the final corner. Did he get collected by the 9? His teammate, let's see. The elimination zone on the bottom of your screen. I'm not sure if we're going to see what happened to Graham Bolin, but he's managed to avoid so much chaos here. He's been off the road multiple times. He just got taken out of the bottom of the hill, and he's still P8.
Traffic is playing its factor. Look top and bottom, you'll see those cars at the front, and you'll see the elimination zone. You'll see those drivers as they are in danger of getting disqualified. It'll be Joey Sainz and Sean Crawley, the next two that get disqualified this very lap, as they'll disappear from the track in an instant. There's no forewarning. Bolin now still fighting. Rubelar in front. They're 13 seconds back. You have to assume any chance of victory has fallen by the wayside.
We can only say that, but who knows what's going to happen. There's still 17 more laps to go. This race has both flown by, and there's also still ages to go. So who knows what's going to happen next. Josh Anderson's actually found quite a few more lapped cars, and 2 of them are Charlotte Phoenix drivers. Are they more inclined to hold him back? He's going to get to the inside of one of his teammates in the 41, but the 40 spins around. Anderson's so lucky to avoid that, but look who's right to his bumper. Aaron Smith. The gap's 0 now. It's 2/10. It's nothing.
And we check in now with that battle in second. We saw as well some of those other cars. Elimination zone now sees Clarence Collins on the chopping block. Trevor Teal, Colton Easterday, the next 2 drivers that have been eliminated that last lap around. It is closing in the direction of Charlotte Phoenix. It's not closing fast enough, though. It is now within almost 100 points.
Nick Olson on the bottom of your screen. He's going to pull it down pit road. He's got heavy damage. He was the driver who spun in front of Anderson. Actually, he isn't going to bring it down pit lane, but that car looks heavily damaged, and bad luck for Nick Olson. One of the drivers I was really looking for coming into this race with all that Monday night racing experience, with all those weird combinations, but it has not worked out for Nick Olson, and it looks like it's not going to be working out for the 41 either, and it's not working out for Blake Reynolds either. All sorts of trouble. Joey Padgett's going to go through. He's barely going to take into consideration the confines sides of the track, and he's going to move up to 4th either way.
Nicholas Rubelar is out of this race. We've, of course, seen the struggles he's been on. It will come to an end for one of our previous race winners as he looked to become the first repeat champion in these Next Level Racing community events. Closer and closer to the halfway marker of the race. Christy Rubelar will be those next 2 drivers to be disqualified as the Next Level Racing community team holds on by 100 points. Joey Paget runs comfortably up in 4th, although almost had a moment there as lap traffic bottled up in front of him. That's where the danger comes when you're not expecting it.
Lap traffic in front, Blake Reynolds behind. Is there anything more stressful? I don't think there is. He's holding well up through Momo Corner, here through the aluminium dog leg, whatever we call it. That's where Joey Paget's kind of been extending the limits of the track, but he's far more within the limits that time. He's getting held up by one of the NLR cars, the 42. That's Cody Deeth, who's on the road to elimination and around the 34.
And he was already on the bubble, but that just adds punishment to the wounds, if you will, because Lewis Timmerman will be disqualified, and he'll be doing it after the ignominy of being highlighted with the spin. Cody Deeth will also get disqualified. What did I say earlier? The bad qualifying? It comes back. Deeth only 25th.
And that's 2 NLR drivers eliminated. Is it starting to fall back into the favor of Charlotte Phoenix? It's currently a 100-point gulf. You can see it on the side of your screen. 108 points, if I'm counting correctly. NLR really has the advantage. They have the lead right now. But Charlotte Phoenix is fighting back. They're not getting eliminated here, but we might just have one of them eliminated. The 99 goes around.
Deja vu. Stoltz was in the danger zone on the chopping block. He'll go around this time. Daniel Solo, the other driver, going to be removed from the race, eliminated at this point in this Eliminator Cup. Now Briggs and Gunnison, those on the bubble. We check in with David Shieldhouse running inside of the top 10. And while Shieldhouse closes on Charlie Thompson in front of him, I did note Aaron Smith has brought down the gap for the lead to 1.4 seconds. That 70 is on the hunt.
It was as low as 0.2 at one point, but the lap traffic, as unpredictable as it's been all night, that gap is just going to keep expanding and ballooning and rubber banding, whatever you want to call it. Aaron Smith needs to take advantage of whatever chance he gets, though. If he gets within 0.2 again, he can't just afford to stick behind Anderson. He's going to need to make a move, because who knows what's going to happen next? Who knows when a lap car is going to spin in front of you? You've got to take advantage of every chance you can get, because they don't come often.
We are running out of drivers. 41 started, 20 still left running, with 2 more ready to get eliminated as Matthew Feldman lights up the rear tires, going out in style, that is for sure. And as the drivers get eliminated, the fact that so many of the Charlotte Phoenix drivers are still in the running will give them hope. It is not done and dusted just yet. Halfway through this Eliminator Cup as a spin in front of Reed Wilson.
That's Josh Edmondson in the 58. It's been a disaster for him these last couple laps. He was running so well, and he's just had quite a few errors, no fault of his own, some the fault of his own, and he's fallen to P18. Eliminated all the way up to P20. Next up, Jonas Gunnarsson in P20 is going to be eliminated. So half the field is already gone, and we only have 9 laps to go. If you're not racing in the top 5 here, even in the top 2, they've pulled away so far, you better start worrying, because in about 10 minutes time, every single one of you is about to be kicked out of this race.
It is getting to the point, though, once we get to 12 left in this race, that the points are basically going to be set in stone, at least with the gaps that we've got now. There's not going to be too many a big swing in the points, and therefore Next Level Racing are looking quite good as it runs right now. Anderson has also built up the advantage back to Smith to a 2 full seconds. It's honestly trending in the direction again of our Next Level Racing community.
That 100-point cap has kind of stayed stagnant. It's come down by a few points. It's now almost below 100 points. I think with a couple more eliminations, they might be able to bring it below 100, but it's not looking good. I'm sure the Next Level Racing squad in their wherever they're watching, they're feeling very, very good right now. The Charlotte Phoenix in their Carolina Esports hub, they're probably not feeling so good right now. They're not having their post-race party, but it's not over.
Wes the Mess 88 and David Duong, the next two to be eliminated, as Wes the Mess goes from a victory in the iRacing Off-Road All-Star Invitational to ending up 16th on the road. Honestly, not the worst result, you'd have to say, in the field that we've got. There they go in the blink of an eye. We are embracing everything that esports is all about here. Sim racing, like you said, Joe, we can take ourselves too seriously sometimes. This is about having some fun, and I know, based on the reaction from our Next Level Racing community on social media, they're having a ball as well.
Well, Arjuna, nobody's having more fun than you, because you're the guy who gets to kick out all these drivers. I can only imagine you with your ban hammer over there. Seb Kowalski, he better start getting worried, because when he crosses the line here, he's going to be the next one to be eliminated. Another NLR driver to be eliminated. It's been a little bit of a streak for them. Zach Knowles coming up too will be eliminated, but the points gap has just... it's so big. It's been accrued over the course of these first 17 laps. It's basically going to be impossible to bring down. So we can now highlight every single one of these individual drivers. David Schildhaus, he's got a few more drivers to wait before he gets kicked out.
He's only 2 laps away, though, when you think about it. Bickford and Wilson now on the chopping block, because remember, 2 drivers per lap are getting chopped. As a bit of a lockup into the final corner. Schildhaus, I think, overcommitted, will slide backwards as we check in with Reed Wilson, who will be the next to be eliminated, along with James Bickford, as we wind in to just the top 10 drivers remaining in the Eliminator Cup.
And this is still an accomplishment. Everybody wants to win, but when you're in a field like this, we're down to the nitty-gritty of this field. Everybody who's still alive in this race is some of the best on iRacing. And if you've picked up a top 10 in this race, that is still a heck of an accomplishment. It's like when I race in top split Indy fixed. If I get a top 10, I am over the moon. And David Schildhaus, I'm sure he wants a little bit more. He's going to be eliminated when we come to the line here. He's going to have a little bit of fun over the dog leg. But a top 10's nothing to shake a stick at, and he's actually just saved himself from an elimination. That was Thompson. That was 4th position.
This actually might be the final lap where we eliminate 2 cars. After this, it will be 1 driver per lap, potentially. Thompson will be confirmed eliminated. Race control will deliberate as to whether Schildhaus will get the boot, as Thompson goes for a move to the inside. Unfortunately, it was about 300 meters too late.
Just a little bit too late. That's like when the pace car comes out, when you're in the middle of making a move for the lead. Just bad luck for Thompson there. Schildhaus gets to live for 1 more second, but Ryan Vargas up ahead. He's not going anywhere. He's got a full second gap. He can just cruise here. He can survive for another lap, unless he spins at a Momo corner, which I almost thought he did, but no. Ryan Vargas keeping it pointed straight. Xfinity Series regular. Can we call him a veteran at this point? I don't know if we can. I think he's still too young for that, but Ryan Vargas, very experienced, and he lives another day.
Joey, how old are you?
Younger than Ryan Vargas.
You're younger than me as well. You can't be talking about the ages of these people like you're some old wise hat, especially when we got people like Paul Smith that will come here to put you in your place. So Vargas, Kusin, Boland, they're now on the chopping block. As with all the traffic removed from the circuit, Anderson is now punching in the lap times that you'd expect from a World Championship driver of his caliber. A 46.323 last time by. The gap has grown to 3.6.
And he doesn't really have lap cars to worry about anymore, because they've all been kicked out. There's no lap traffic on the track anymore. Everybody's within 16 seconds. So Aaron Smith's only hope, really, is that Anderson makes a catastrophic mistake, which, if you're expecting Anderson to make a catastrophic mistake, you're going to be severely disappointed. So it's basically just cruising right now, and I think our closest battle will end up being the battle for the last spot in the podium and the last one of those prizes.
Which in a few laps' time is going to be academic anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We'll find out how close it will be. We're down to those final 6 laps. It's Keenan Kusin, a drifting expert who is, what do you guess, doing? Well, hanging out the rear end and going out in style. Keenan Kusin will bow out, one of the Traction GG members. Had a solid drive, 5 positions gained through all the carnage, through all the chaos. I'd say good day for that 03.
Yeah, lighting up the tires through the final corner, but unfortunately it's going to be lights out as he crosses the line. Another great recovery, but that's the last of the NLR community drivers who aren't in the fight for the podium. So we're down to P6 here. Joey Padgett and Graham Boland, what a race both of them have had. Joey Padgett's had a great drive through the field. Graham Boland has been off the road, I think, more times than he's been on it, but somehow he's still running P6. And he might be able to do something here on Joey Padgett. He's got an 8/10 gap between the two of them. You can see some of our eliminated drivers are watching on. They're cheering on Joey Padgett. unless he does something catastrophically wrong here. I think he's got fifth in the bag. Grant Boland's cut the track. I don't know. Are we allowing that? No,
Paget made the mistake. Paget made the mistake. Oh, I got myself confused, didn't I? I was hyping something up that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think he tried to cut the track to be a little bit cute, but he hit the wall. So unfortunate for Grant Boland, but he was out anyway. Might as well go out in style.
Commentators are always right. We are perfect. We are perfect. Yes. As it runs right now, though, with just the 5 left on track, we can confirm it will be the next level racing community. There's the replay. There's the shortcut attempted.
That's the best overtake of all time.
That's an attempted rallycross overtake that didn't work out. We'll leave it at that. But the next level racing community will stay undefeated as it stands right now.
Only 5 drivers to go. 3 from NLR, 1 from Charlotte Phoenix. Is anything going to change? I don't know. Maybe we should just replay that off-road world championship move by Grant Boland for the next 3 minutes.
Please, let's have more of that chaos. We've really mixed things up. Last time, of course, we took the 87 stock cars to... Ooh, that's a mistake from Liam Brotherton with a bit of a sheepish smile there. He'll know that his day is coming to an end as well.
See if he goes out in style like some of his teammates did. He goes for a little bit of a drift. Come on, give us more than that, Liam. There it is. That's what we want to see. That is what we want to see. Great drift. He's going to extend this for as long as possible. Maybe he's gonna park it on the track and take out Anderson. If I was Aaron Smith, that's my last hope.
And while it's not grass, if he ever wants to touch something that's similar to grass, Liam Brotherton doesn't have far to go. We will wave goodbye to our eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver that has a best finish of 10th in this 2022 campaign coming during the Kansas Speedway race. Brotherton rides across the line, and we wave goodbye to him. Next up, it will be Blake Reynolds, who is an accomplished driver in his own right. Of course, part of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Will be fighting in the playoffs later this... to stay inside the playoffs as it stands right now. It's been a crazy 2022. Sits 8th in points, but without a win is not locked in. What a ride it's been in that eNASCAR Series.
And Arjuna, I think this is the first time we've said Blake Reynolds' name for this entire broadcast, which I think is a good thing. In a race like this, if you're anonymous, if you're not mentioned, you come home with a P3. That's like the best compliment you can ask for. Blake Reynolds somehow survives, but we're on the final lap here. This is for the final position. Is Anderson going to do anything drastic? Somehow I doubt that. He's been rock solid this whole night.
It's a 4-second gap. Aaron Smith, I think, will be very glad to have survived to be the best of the Charlotte Phoenix, because when you're up against someone with the resume of an Anderson, multiple world championships, a Supercars E-Series driver, you know you've got a tall challenger, especially at a track he knows like the back of his hand. Anderson will outlast them all. He will come across the line to uphold the honor of Next Level Racing as they vanquish the Charlotte Phoenix in the Eliminator Cup.
And it was his the whole time. He looked like he was going to have some competition from Nicholas Rubilar, even from Grant Boland, for Blake Reynolds. But no, the second he took control, he refused to relinquish it. That was a masterful drive by Josh Anderson. And of course, he's going to get to do the drifts as well, and he's not even getting eliminated. What a way to win.
And you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if his lap times are pretty competitive even with the drifting, because there is some car control being showed and showcased right now. Anderson in that 36 car becomes just another of a Next Level Racing community members to have beaten the best that sim racing has to offer. Look at that, all the way up to the wall. Anderson celebrates in style as he walks away, not just the winner of the Eliminator Cup, but with a Next Level Racing Elite Gaming chair and $100 in iRacing credits. What a format this was. Esports racing can be exciting and it can be different. Josh Anderson outlasts them all in front of Aaron Smith, who was the best of the rest for the Charlotte Phoenix Esports team. Blake Reynolds and Liam Brotherton finished 3rd and 4th, with Paget, Boland, Aero, Vargas, Shieldhouse, and Thompson making it to those final 10 laps. And then, one by one, they all dropped away. Bigfoot Wilson had some pace, as did Knowles and Kowalski, to get up to 13th and 14th in front of David Duong. Wes Graham in 16th, Daniel H., Josh Edmondson, Matthew Feldman, and Jonas Gunnarsson through the top 20. For Josh Edmondson, multiple spins, spent more time, I think, off the track than he did on it. For the 777 of Adam Briggs, at least he didn't flip in a race that I was commentating on, so that's a good thing, with Jeff Newton, Daniel Solo, Josh Stoltz, and Cody Deep making up those top 25 positions. Louis Timmerman, Zach Christie, Nicholas Rubilar, CJ Collins, and Nick Olsen, the top 30. Pickle Teal and Trevor Teal, 31st position in that Nitro Circus Sim Racing Esports machine. Colton Easterday, Sean Crowley, Joey Sines, and Alex Gardner, the top 35, with Rulis, Hillary, Rob, Laughlin, Hollingsworth making up those top 40 drivers. And it was a crazy start. Mullins and Wilson never really fired off. But what a race, what a format this really was. We will take the time then to begin our post-race coverage by dragging in our winner to the RaceBot TV commentary booth, joined by Josh Anderson, who cruised to a 5-second victory. Josh, it was the qualifying lap that put you in the best spot possible. We saw the lap. What a lap it was, all the way to the walls.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It's Oran Park's always a good fun track. And this kind of car, you can, it's quite baggy tires. You can really get it sideways and still generate grip, so it's good fun. And then, yeah, obviously it's a fun event, but it's always good to win, I suppose.
You sim racers are always so competitive. If you're in anything, you better find a way to win it. And of course, the last time we saw you in one of these Next Level Racing community events, it was against Nicholas Rubelar, fighting all the way to the line at Mount Panorama in a Miata. This time it worked in your direction. How crazy was the traffic, especially given it was a pretty intense lap one that meant that you had to work your way through the traffic sooner than expected?
Yeah, the traffic was pretty funny. It was full send. You just basically had to commit to it, and yeah, it was definitely committed, but it was good fun, and you know, I knew that obviously if I could be a little bit more aggressive through the traffic than the guys behind me, that I could pull a gap. So that's what I tried to do. At one point, it sort of backfired, and I ended up only about 8 tenths in front of Blake, I think it was, and but yeah, I sort of, the next wave of traffic, I got a little bit lucky, and I just sort of tried to be as aggressive as possible through the traffic without being silly, of course.
I did wonder if your multi-class experience helped a little bit there.
Yeah, it's memories of racing like IMSA in 2017.
So, I mean, what have you been up to this year other than these events, Josh? Of course, it's the summer, at least on this side of the world. It's a little different for you, but we're getting into that period where sim racing starts to pick up in the off-season and the competition starts to get fiercer.
I'm sort of retired, I suppose. I did PESC a few years ago, and that was pretty bad. It wasn't really much fun. So I just sort of race for fun these days. I do a lot of the V8 Supercar stuff, so I'm doing the V8 Supercars E-Series right now with my real-life sponsor, Cool Drive Auto Parts, who support me in my Aussie Racing Car Series, and obviously they have a V8 Supercar team as well. So yeah, so I don't really do much of the big races anymore. Just it's hard being an Australian, you know, staying up super late or waking up super early to get taken out on lap one. It's not really that much fun. But yeah, I just sort of enjoy sim racing for what it is and have a bit of fun. And these kind of events are perfect. You know, you can turn up with and just have some fun and see what happens.
Well, I hope you've been enjoying the Supercars E-Series, especially the race at Michigan. That looks quite interesting when you punched it into pole position. We'll see you hopefully on RaceBot TV soon. For now, congratulations on the win. Can't wait to see you soon in the future.
No worries. Thanks, mate. Have a good one.
So Josh Anderson from Down Under joins us in the RaceBot TV commentary booth, and I think we are going to grab the opportunity to chat to the Elliott Sadler Esports driver of Liam Brotherton. Came across the line in 4th. We are waiting to see if we'll get the chance to chat with him and if Joey Tebbin will be able to dial up the driver of that number 2. Joey, I think he's standing by now. Take it away.
Liam Brotherton, do you have a copy?
I sure do. How are you guys?
We are doing very well. We're slightly out of breath because that was pretty insane. I can only imagine what it was like for you behind the wheel of the car.
Yeah, that was a struggle for me. Woo! I like to run Oran Park just for fun on my free time, but typically in a lot better handling cars than this street stock was. But it was fun sliding around out there with Blake Reynolds and Graham Bolin and obviously Josh Anderson running away from all of us. So that was a blast. Had a great time. Thanks for putting on the event.
So how stressful was it? Let's do a comparison from the highest level of NASCAR on iRacing in the Coke Series to street stocks at Oran Park in the Eliminator Cup. What's more stressful?
Chaotic. I don't know. I would debate this one by like just this much compared to restarts in the Coke series, but obviously the pressure's a little higher there. But I had a blast tonight. Like I said, I really have no complaints. Not a ton of pressure in these fun events. I had to go out there and wreck Jesse, which I didn't do. So I guess I kind of failed in wrecking the community manager, but alas, we had a good time.
And the community manager, he won after all. You might have only finished fourth, but your NLR community team, first, third, and fourth. That's pretty strong. That's a pretty strong run in the top 5.
Yeah, I decided to let Blake go there, try and, let go after Aaron Smith, try and make it a 1-2, but it didn't quite work out. Obviously not quite enough time, but again, thank you to everyone at Charlotte Phoenix and NLR for putting on this event. Inviting me out was a lot of fun. Obviously represent NLR on a bi-weekly basis in the Coke series, so it's cool to come out here and do these fun events.
Well, we hope to see you again next time we have one of these events. But before we let you go, talk about the next 6 weeks. You've got 6 more weeks of the Coke series. You've got all sorts of stuff going on for the rest of the year on iRacing. Give all sorts of shout outs. Tell us all sorts of things that are going on.
Yep. So obviously we got a couple more Coke races to slog through. Got one more road course, not my specialty. So we'll get through Watkins Glen, and then we'll be heading on to Darlington and Bristol, which are probably my best of the remaining tracks outside of Talladega. When we get to Talladega, you'll see that 2-car either in the lead, in the wind, or on the hook going to the garage area. So it should be a lot of fun. Always thankful to Jesus Christ giving me these opportunities to race, and Elliott Sadler Esports as well. So yeah, it should be a blast. Tune in every bi-weekly event. It should be wild.
Liam Brotherton, P4 tonight, but maybe P1 at Talladega. Thanks for talking to us.
Sounds like checkers or wreckers for him. A little disappointed we didn't get the full costume that we got for the 80s event, where he very much dressed up in period. Let's go a little bit further back in the grid. We want to find out what the chaos was like. Let's go to 36th place, Tyler Rolis. And Tyler talks about the start of the race, because it seemed like by the time the leaders were looking to finish lap number 2, because there was so much chaos, some of you still hadn't finished lap number 1.
Yeah, like, honestly, first of all, thanks for you guys for having me. It's an honor, and it's just a crazy race, and it was a lot of fun. Big congrats to the Next Level Racing guys, but it's just carnage. A lot of us never really got to really finish it.
I guess when you throw 40-plus cars around a 1-mile facility, you were always kind of expecting that. What was the street stock like around this layout of Oran Park? It's not necessarily a combo that you'd be traditionally used to seeing.
No, not at all, actually. I got, like... The funny thing is, I had 0 practice. I was on vacation at this time, so... I had no practice whatsoever. It's such a strange and odd combination, but if you can manage the quirkiness of the street stocks, you're golden.
Tell us a little about yourself, Tyler. You told us, or we found that you love your virtual race cars, but you've got a passion for aviation.
I do. I'm a very passionate aviator. I do a lot of flight simming on a spare time. If I also have a race here and there, I'll try to do it, but aviation is like a huge passion of mine. I really want to try to find a job in the aviation field.
Great to chat to you, Tyler. Congratulations on surviving some of the chaos, and hopefully if you join us for the next community event, it'll go a little bit better.
Pretty much. Thank you guys. It's been an honor having a chat with you guys.
Tyler Rulish joining us in the RaceBot TV commentary booth. One final interview to get to. We'll bring in Colton Easterday. He'll chat with Joey Tebben.
Colton Easterday, the driver of the number 5, 32nd place tonight. I'm sure you didn't compete as many laps as you would have liked to, but talk us through your stint here tonight.
Well, I gained a couple spots from people just spinning out in front of me, and I was up to 28th or 29th, and I ran it too hard into a corner at a car, I think, to the inside of me going into turn 1, and I spun out, and then I ended up in last place. I wasn't really able to recover at that point.
So I want to talk to you about something that I found very interesting in my research before this broadcast. This race was pretty crazy. You could almost call it a murder mystery, trying to figure out how many people we eliminated who killed who out of the race. Talk us through the Fort Wayne Dinner Detective Murder Mystery Show, because that sounds like something that I really want to go to.
Yeah, so when I'm not driving fake cars, I'm an actor, and The Dinner Detective is a show. It's interactive. The actors sit amongst the audience, and you gotta guess, who's who did what. We talk to audience members. They are there's a lot around the country. You can go, Detroit, places in Florida, Indianapolis, Chicago, San Diego, Los Angeles. If you haven't been, it's a great time. I enjoy doing it. Acting is a passion of mine, so it's something that I really like doing. They actually indirectly sponsor me. They gave me permission to run their logo on my cars. So if you see me around iRacing doing whatever, you'll probably see me sporting their logo as well.
Well, I'll tell that to everybody else. Look for that logo, and if you're in Fort Wayne, Indiana, if you're in Detroit, if you're anywhere else in the country, check out the Dinner Detective Murder Mystery Show. Colton Easterday endorsed, and maybe just RaceSpot TV endorsed too. So thanks, Colton, for talking to us, and good luck if we see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, Arjuna, that looks like all the drivers who are willing to talk to us. I'm sure some of them are all tuckered out. That was pretty crazy.
I think some still trying to figure out what the murder mystery result actually was. What a format, Joey. I like that esports lets us do stuff like this. We like to stay grounded sometimes in sim racing. For example, very excited by the IMSA Esports Global Championship and rooting in reality there. But sometimes it's fun to do wacky stuff, and this was definitely one of those things.
It's always fun to do wacky stuff, and I guess I'm the king of doing wacky stuff on iRacing. The only time I've ever seen Oran Park South before was an AI race where all the AI drivers were U.S. senators. But that's self-promotion. I'll avoid that. We won't do any of that. But this was a crazy race. It flew by. It's only 8:02 p.m. here on the East Coast, and we only started this an hour ago, and it feels like I've lived about 17 lifetimes over the course of that race. So I love this format. I'd love to see another Eliminator Cup. I don't know what track we do it at. Maybe another layout at Oran Park. Maybe the Texas infield. Or maybe let's just go crazy. Let's go to the Nordschleife. Let's do it there.
Ooh, you got my intrigue. All you had to say was Green Hell, and I am there. Do you remember these events are almost monthly at this point in time? We will bring the next level community. We'll find another crack team of sim racers, and we will find some unique challenge. I mean, we've gone NASCAR racing at Spa-Francorchamps. We've taken the Mazda Miatas to Bathurst. We went rallycross racing at Crandon. We did 87 stock cars at Daytona. What haven't we done, Joey? What wild thing can you think of off the top of your head? Because I know you have some crazy ideas.
Well, I'm going to take a book out of Tyler Ruelas' book, and I say let's ditch iRacing. Let's do a race on a flight sim. Let's race planes. Let's do that.
You have to fly to the race, so race to the race and then race the race itself. I like the sound of that. We'll have a two-part affair is what we'll do. But as always, delighted that you joined us for this Next Level Racing versus Charlotte Phoenix, the Eliminator Cup. As it's been the story of 2022. Again, the Next Level Racing community will come out on top. Joshua Anderson rights the wrong that he experienced at Mount Panorama at the end of May. Today, he emerges on top, the winner of a Next Level Racing gaming chair, the champion of the Next Level Racing Eliminator Cup. We'll see you next time on RaceSpot TV for some great Next Level Racing community action. Make sure to stay involved with all things Next Level Racing on social media if you want to be part of the racing next time we go out. On behalf of the team, for Joey Tebben, for Hugo Luis, and for myself, Arjuna Kankipati, we'll see you next time. For now, so long and goodbye. We hope you enjoyed the chaos.